Hello. Um, Today, I think I want to start off by saying that overall, I tend to be a fairly nice, empathetic sort of individual. But you know what? There's a lot of people that, as far as I'm concerned, I'd like to bring back the word retard for. Um, and I don't have anything against retarded people. Um, but I do have something against these entitled morons that feel that they just have a yappy box that everyone should listen to without them taking the time to try to consider how other people feel. So today I'm going to discuss two people in particular. One was in an adoption support group today on Facebook, and the other was on my channel asking to not be thrown under the bus because she's a mother, not a birth mother. You know, whatever that's supposed to mean. And if she had watched all my videos, I think she would get the understanding that I don't throw anybody under the bus. The whole adoption sham is brutal. If you can't admit it, then do some research. That's my that's my story, and I'm sticking to it. Yes, I understand how the government's taken babies from mothers that they shouldn't have. There was no need to. Yes, I understand that they don't provide support for these mothers. Instead, they'd rather just take the babies and plop them where they feel would be best for the economy or for the political agenda or whatever is going on at that particular moment. I'm not ignorant of these things, but is she? I think so. So here's what she had to say. Don't throw me under the bus as the blah 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 blah. Okay, well, I've seen some birth mothers or mothers, if you want to call them that, that have realized after the fact that this wasn't right, that something wrong had happened, like this one supposedly is trying to do. And they picked up the torch and they ran with it and they tried to let other people know. And that isn't easy because the adoption agency, the whole adoption agenda, wants to keep trucking along and pumping along. It's profitable. Um, so all those things being said, great. Pick up the torch because I'm your children that got taken from you. So whatever I have to say, you should be backing me up 100% because you weren't strong enough to save me from what happened to your baby and the other babies and those babies, and you were quiet about it and you never said anything about it, and you suffered in silence, and you weren't brave, and you didn't grow, and you didn't do the research. So you want to call yourself a mother? Then get up off your fucking ass and do the work. You got all these women running around doing these slut walks. Where do you think the adoptees come from? Feminism, you fucking idiots. So, needless to say, I'm not always nice. And I don't believe that everyone deserves to be treated nicely when they have shit like that coming out of their mouths. So, you got something to say to me? Fine. But I'll throw you right under the fucking bus, just like I was done as a baby. I didn't have a choice. There was no choice. I didn't have a mother strong enough or bright enough to see that this was a horrible thing. And given, it's a very deceptive and tricky way to get your babies. I get it. Okay, but at the same token, if you were the mother, there's nothing that would have stopped you from keeping your baby. There it is. Just like if I was stronger, I wouldn't have succumbed to alcoholism. If I was stronger, I wouldn't have succumbed to drug abuse. If I was stronger, I wouldn't have been, you know, had all sorts of other issues and other problems. Okay? I can be responsible for me. Now, at the same token, I've suffered a lot of things, and I've seen that a lot of those things weren't right. So now I'm standing up and I'm saying those things for people who may be suffering alone, who don't know that what they're going through is something that other people are going through because of what has happened to them. This is what I'm doing. And it's not making me any friends. It's not comfortable for me to share this shit online to the world and to potentially have that information used against me at some later date, because I'm talking about things that are very intimate, very embarrassing, very, I mean, just brutally honest about myself. I mean, the average individual, you can't get to be honest about anything. Not that a lot of them have anything to be honest about anyways. So, that being said, I'm sorry you lost your child, and I'm sorry you still think you're a mother, but I hope to hell you've been doing the work. Because if you haven't, then you can go under the bus. And you can stay there till you get out, you back me up, and you start speaking, and you start getting this shit going. Because in a world of mothers, there's no fucking way adoption is right or good or a happy story or a fairy tale bullshit. It's not. That's not it. What we have is slavery and bullshit going on. So that was my first little rant. And the second one was about a woman who wanted to stop in at the adoption support group and let us all know she was one of the rare ones that had a positive adoption story, and she found that a little bit odd and blah 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 blah. Well, we I want to put it this way, that adoptees who think adoption is the greatest thing ever aren't really thinking about it and haven't really thought about it too well. Because if they know that there's a crap load of adoptees that had a bad go and they had a good go, well, then they should know it's just the luck of the draw, isn't it? If you had a good experience or a bad experience. And they would never change anything. But see, that's not their choice. They were given the good. And they were given that, right? So anyways, I mean, they're not thinking. And they're probably not, I wouldn't think they would be as intelligent as someone who realizes that adoption isn't good. I mean, you have to think about it a little bit to really put it in perspective, because you're given a prepackaged presentation of what adoption really is to feel good about yourselves and society in general, and nobody's doing anything wrong. But once you start digging and doing a little bit of thinking, you're like, yeah, I don't see how that could possibly be good. Yeah, I mean, ultimately, unless we're talking about the horrid scenario where the parents are extremely abusive and the children need to be taken somewhere else into a altruistic and loving home, but that's not reality, unfortunately. So this woman goes off on this thing. So slowly but surely, I can see some of the less upfront adoptees kind of picking away at this a bit, like, well, it's just kind of luck then, isn't it? Or like, what exactly are you providing for us for your support that she somehow feels like she's going to support us? Well, it eventually comes out that this woman was an adult, and she was at her church, and she knew a nice couple and asked them to adopt her as an adult. Okay, retard. That's not adoption. That's not what we're talking about. That's not what the point of the adoption support group. Okay, that as an adult you decided to have some other people adopt you. Great, great. And what exactly were you going to be providing for us for support? And how are we to help? Like, you don't have an adoption problem. You had an abusive family problem, and there's support groups for that, but you don't have a fucking shit to say about anything to do with adoptees, okay? You don't have a clue. Not a freaking clue. And, she went on and on and on about, oh, what, I'm sure support groups, there's the success stories. How is she a success story for us adoptees? So, I mean, needless to say, I I don't know. I mean, I want to be tolerant and understanding, and I wish I had an endless well of patience for people, but you know what? I'm fucking fed up. And I mean, in my own recovery, my own journey to find peace and serenity and solace from this, this world of idiocracy, of idiocy. I mean, it comes down to two massive problems that I seem to struggle with. That my problems, as I see them, and a lot of them are me related, but some of them are should have been highlighted for me, and some sort of warnings and possible psychological like cues should have been taken to be like, yeah, well, he's probably struggling a bit with the adoption. Let's get him in. Let's talk about it, and let's see if we can get him synced up. But I think ultimately the thing I come down to is simply this: in that in our world that we live in, and this is the very basic plane of existence that I'm talking about here, is that we have two things. We have people that are very stupid and ignorant and are just following the crowd to the letter, to the T. And then we have some people that are very intelligent, but very malevolent, maybe jaded, maybe, I don't know, a whole different crew of people that have been following some sort of, good for us, bad for everyone else protocols. And I think that group is getting a bit stale. And I honestly don't feel like there's any growth there, and that they're rolling with the punches and adjusting with the thing, because I don't think there's just no need for having people treated in such a manner. Um, and on top of that, you have to keep people ignorant and stupid and on that physical sort of plane, and away from their emotions and away from their spirituality and away from their mental faculties. Because as soon as they start getting into that, they start realizing that something's wrong with what's going on. And, it's like Plato's cave. Once you come out of there, it's really hard to go back, and it's kind of dangerous if you do. Because these people want to rip you to shreds because they want to live in their blissful ignorance. But anyways, those are my two rants today of just fucking idiots. Like, get the fuck out of our fucking, our tiny little platform that we have, thinking that you are contributing to us in some way, because you're not. You're absolutely not. And if you're a birth mother, hey, I get it. I see how bad it could have been. But at the same token, at least you still have your history. At least you had an opportunity. At least you had a choice. As a baby, we didn't have a goddamn choice in any way, shape, or form. No baby's running away from the hospital. Without the mother, we don't have a chance. You are our last line of defense. You, the mother. So if you were a mother, a real mother, an archetypal mother, like that one said she was, then where's your baby? Because if you lost your baby, you're not a very good goddamn mother, are you? Ciao.